are you? How is class going? How is the revision? And how are we doing what we're supposed to do? Wow, I just looked at the lesson today and I saw that we've actually concluded 10 lessons aside other things that we've added to spice up songs and all that. And lesson 10, a bit intense, a bit different, but this has to do with a conversation that is very, 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 very needful. This has to do with where do you live, you know, where do you stay, and there is no way you're going to have a conversation either with a colleague or students or anybody at all. There is no way you wouldn't ask, where do you live or where do you stay? So it's a very important conversation we need to talk about. It could be for war, it could be for ni, it could be for ta being he or she, somebody else. So the topic today is Tajunar. Tajunar. He lives where? So this looks more like a conversation that has to do with uh, somebody asking or two persons discussing, but there is a third person involved. It reminds me of when I think it was Mali took his father, a father rather, to go visit a teacher. So there are three persons there. The conversation may be with two persons, but there's a third person as well. So let's see what this is all about. The topic or the title for the lesson 10 is Tajunar. Let's not forget that our initials, finals, and tone are very key to our conversations in Chinese. Learning new words is not debatable, it's not discussable, it's important that it is learned. Now, in this place right now, we have Ju Yuan is like when you go to, let's say you go to an hotel, the people you meet on the receptionist, you might want to call them on the front desk. But if you're in an apartment, you might want to call it an agent. If you get in an apartment, you might want to call it an agent. If it's an hotel, so it depends on the context to which you're using it. Now, Li Chang Hao. Li Chang Hao is a name. It's a Chinese person. It's a name of a Chinese person. Li being the family name. Chang Hao means his personal name. So let's have the conversation. Xinwen, remember when we were doing there was one of the classes, I don't know if it was lesson 7, I told you you could use Qingwen. Qingwen means excuse me. The same thing as Laoja. Qingwen means excuse me. There's also Laoja. The reason why there's Qingwen in this case is more like it comes with a polite, just to tell you about the character. Now the character when there is a question kind of character. When you say wenti, problem. When you say well wenta, I'm asking her. So the when there is ask. It's ask. When it stands alone, it means ask, request, ask. When they put chinwen together, chin means please. Chin means please. If chin is standing alone, it means please. Now, by the time you say chinwen, let's put them separately. Please and ask. Please and ask. Now, please and ask if you put them separately. Now, when you put them together, just imagine what you would do when you say please to somebody and you ask. So it gives you a context of what the excuse me there. Though if I were to interpret, I will not write please ask. I'll write excuse. I'll write excuse because it's excuse. Actually, it's excuse. But when you know it, when you know the meaning in Chinese, it helps you. It makes it easy for you to understand what type of excuse is this. Now, for example, if I'm carrying something heavy and people are crowded, and I want to say, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, just to make way for me to be able to pass through, I would not use Qingwen. I would not use Qingwen because I am not asking any question. I need way. Those kind of one you say Laoja, Laoja, make way, make way. It's still the same thing as excuse, excuse. In English, you can say excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, stuff like that. But this kind of excuse is kind of excuse where you want to stop somebody and ask a question. So it's on the polite side. The thing is, I want to stop you to ask a question. I want to beckon on you to ask a question. I'll say, excuse me, please. If it's in English, say, excuse me, please. You don't just say excuse even. Say, excuse me, please. There'll be that please in it, to add another politeness. But in Chinese, you can say, Qingwen. Your tone will tell that you're trying to ask a question and it's polite. So, Qingwen, 这是办公室吗? This person is just coming. He doesn't know. Maybe the buildings are alike and they didn't label or put any sign anywhere. And so he doesn't know if this is a station, if this is an office, if this is an eatery, because the doors are probably locked or the buildings are different. So he's meeting somebody and he's saying, 请问这是办公室吗? And the agent or the receptionist or whoever is saying, or yes, receptionist, if it's an office now, in the context of the office, it's like a reception. And the person is saying, 是. 是 means yes. And you can see the full stop after 是. But the next step is, if you're asking if this is an office, you're probably looking for someone. So, 是, it is an office. 你找谁? 你找谁? Yes. Who are you looking for? That's like the next question you ask. And then Li Changhao is saying, 王老师在吗? Means I'm looking for Wang Laoshi, but he's not stopping at Wang Laoshi. Who are you looking for? He didn't just say Wang Laoshi. He went as to say, is Wang Laoshi around? Is Wang Laoshi in? Is Wang Laoshi in the office? 我是他的学生. Is Wang Laoshi around? The person asks, who are you looking for? He didn't just answer, I'm looking for Wang Laoshi. He just said, Wang Laoshi zai ma. Because if it means for you to ask me what I'm looking for, it means you know everybody here. So I can as well just ask you, is Wang Laoshi around? Wang Laoshi zai ma. I am one of his students. 我是他的学生. We'll get a lot of new words here as well. So that's basically what it is. And then the person will say, 他不在, he is not around. 他在家呢. Now we're coming back. The last time I told you, when you see the word ma tells us something. It tells us that there is a question. Just the same way you see Qingwen, please ask, means I want to stop somebody. I want to make an inquiry. So that's when I use Qingwen. I don't use Laojia when I want to make an inquiry, even though they both mean the same thing in interpretation, which means excuse. If I'm going to interpret this, I'll say, excuse me, is this an office? Not please, is this an office? It's excuse me. Qingwen as a word together means excuse me. So he said buzai, ta buzai, ta zai jana. Now the na there is just to complete a sentence. It has no meaning to the sentence. It's just to say, no, he's not around, he's at home. When you give that kind of, no, he's not around, he's at home. When you stress that home, it may look like you're trying to stress it that he's not around, but you can find him at home. So that's the na. That's what the na. It's like when somebody say ni hao, you say wo hao. The person that say ni na means what about you? Trying to and you, kind of putting that tajina, and the person is like taju nar. The child is like, okay, where does he stay? If he's at home, where does he stay? I obviously don't know his house, but I know he's supposed to be in the office. Taju nar. So the person is now explaining. Taju shibalo. Shibalo means 18th building, which we would say in our context, number 18. Taju shibalo imen. That one now is an address. So you might not need to cram it because they are different address. Taju shibalo imen fangjian hao shi liu ling yao. So what he's trying to say is staying on the 18th floor or 18th building, because it depends. I think it should be floor. On the 18th floor, the first door number 1, 18th floor, door number 1. But the room, the way they build the Chinese houses, they are in different floors. They have skyscrapers. So you go to number 18th floor, maybe the first turn. They can say Imen can be the first turn. It doesn't mean the first door you're seeing. It might be the first turn, Imen, but if you're looking for the house number, is 601. The flat number, 601. So you can say flat 601, flat 601, um, uh, first door, or you might want to say first stone, because there might be, the floor might just be open and you have different, maybe 1, 2, 3 openings, one here, one there, the first turn, and then room number XYZ. So that's an address anyway. It doesn't really count for you to memorize that. And then it continues, say, Nijida ota the dienhua how mama. So the conversation is getting deep. Because if you're going to give me, if the person has given me the address, right? And the student is not saying, do you know his phone number? Because it might be appropriate for me to call him, that I was at the office, I didn't see him. So I want to know if you're home. Somebody has given me the address. Can I come home? But not all teachers will want to discuss school things in the house. So, of course, the person said, Jedao, I know. So he gives the number, Liu Arjo San Yao Lin Chi Si. That's the number. So the person is asking again, 他的手机号码是多少? Now, there are two. 电话号码, in China, each houses have this intercom, the telephone. And then you also have your cell phone. So the first one of 电话号码 is the intercom in the house, the telephone. Now the person has given them the intercom in the house. And now it's asking for 手机号. 手机号 means your phone number, your mobile phone number. So he's asking, 他的手机号码是多少? What is his phone number? And the person is saying, 不知道, I don't know. I don't have his phone number. I don't have the phone number of where he stays. Well, the students have to say, 谢谢你, Bokachi. I think we already know this. And you can see he keep using nin, and from the picture we can see that the person is speaking to his elderly. So that's why I keep using nin, and then using nin. Jida ota the dianhua hao mama and sheshe nin. You can see using the respectful nin to identify this person. So what has just happened here is you going to look for. I said it earlier that tajunar means there's a third person, but the conversation is between two persons, and then but they were talking about a third person. And I gave an example of one of the lessons we did where Mali took the father to the teacher. So this is a student looking for the teacher, came around where, in China, I don't know if I think they do it in most universities too. They have staff quarters, then they have, so you go to the staff quarters, you see the receptionist, and you're like, oh, is this the office? And it's like, yeah, it's the office. Is this person around? No. Do you know where he stays? Because he's a well-known person, they will definitely know where he stays, and they'll have those information. So just to give us a background of how this works. There are a lot of new words, so we're going to go to the new words, run through them and say Bangonshi. I think we already did it before. Bangonshi means office. Bangong means to work. The Banshamagonzo. Bangong means to work, especially in an office setting. But shi is like a room. When you use shi alone, that's the Bangon shi, the shi. It means a room, just a room. You don't want to call it an office, you don't want to call it, but it's just to tell you that there's a space that can accommodate work. So when you say Bangon shi, it means an office where work is done. So, but you can also use Bangon alone. And Bangon means to do work within an office setting, not to do work in a market. Maybe that wouldn't work, but you can use it if you are in the office or Bangon, and stuff like that. Then you say Jiyuan said is an office worker or is an employee. Okay. Then Jiao, to look for. Jiao, Jiao. Third tone, Jiao. Jiao ni Jiao Shui, ni Jiao Shui. The third tone, Zai, to be. At, you can say, well, Zai, I am in. You can use the Zai. Ja means home, house, family in some cases, yes. They can say Nijaren. For example, if they say Nijaren, it means your family. Because there is home, the people in the home are mostly identified as family. Na, I told you, that doesn't really mean anything. It is put at the end of declarative sentences to indicate the continuation of an action. How about you? It means the sentence and the words are still continuing. No, it doesn't really mean anything. But it just puts a bit of flesh to what it is. Ju means to live. Lo means building. Yeah, means building means floor. Man means door or gate. Fangjian means room. Hao means number. 知道 means to know. 电话 telephone. 电 electricity. 话 words or speech. You can use those words separately. When you put them together, it means something else, but not too far from the individual meaning. Telephone usually are kind of either magnetic or electrically, handled. Then words. So you see electric words, things you pass through, some kind of device. Then you have Hauma. Hauma means number as well. Then you have Ling. Ling means zero. Shouji, mobile phone. Shou means hand. Li Changshao. Li Changhao is a name. It's a Korean name. Oh, that's what they said. It's a Korean name. Li Changhao. You can see the pronounced own is Ho. But in Chinese, just like the way they did my name, instead of the Ho in Korea, it's now Hao. Do you understand? So this is the Korean name. This is how it goes. Li. These are Koreans like write their Li. But Chinese write their Li like this. It's Li. But Koreans, when you see Lee, know the person is a Korean, not a Chinese. But when you see Li, know is a Chinese. So those are ways you can see the difference between the Asian community. The pronunciation may look the same, but the writing and sometimes the pronunciation may be different. In Korea, it's Changho, ho, ho. There's no how. But in China, they don't have ho as a word. So they will need to look for a word that is close to it. And that's why you can say how. So this is just the introductory of 10. In our next class, we'll build more on it because like I told us, the words are getting bigger, the grammar are getting bigger, explanation are getting bigger. So we need to move into all this. We have to see where the verbs come in, the subject, the object, and then we can make sense out of it. So it's not, we're getting advanced now. We are no longer just in the one we used to do to get, because as we move deep in the class, we begin to get to where we are able to bring in some more things now, verbs, adverbs, and those things to be able to understand how and why our sentence we are advancing in the class. I hope this class was okay. Like I always say, I wish it's more of an interactive class where somebody can say, "Stop, ma, can you explain this and this and that?" I am really looking forward to when, let's say, I remember the first time I did interpretation for somebody. The person was in the US actually, and I need to interpret for the person. It was a classwork, so it was a bit interactive. I wasn't using my textbook. I was using the person's textbook based on the assignment given, and we're able to interact. It was easier. In this case, I'm using my textbook to just bring in scenarios, hoping that the students in this class will practice those scenarios and be able to live with it and see how they can practice it. Hopefully, they are within the Chinese community where whatever they learn here, whatever you learn here, you can go out and practice it and see where the gaps are and see how we can correct it. Till we meet again, I think this is it. Let's not forget, this has to do with Tajunar. Where does it live? Going to look for your friend, going to look for your colleague, and all that. These are some of the things you would need within the Chinese environment. Uh, so that's that about that. So thank you very much for your time. And if there are no questions, we'll see hopefully in September. That will be September should be the last month in the third quarter. We still have a lot to do, but let's see. We'll take it gradually, and hopefully, let's see, innovations and other things will come in the next before the next year to see how we can make the class a bit more interactive. If maybe I'll go into real time so that when I'm online, some other persons are online and they can join. Probably to be better. Then we'll try it in one of those classes and we'll see. But till then, let's revise what has been explained and what has been taught. And let's hope that it comes out better in our next class. So till we meet again, this is Auntie P. Do have a lovely, lovely day.